23% of secondary school students have admitted to binge drinking in the past month. That's 5 or more standard drinks. 43% of our adult population in New Zealand have taken or tried illicit drugs. 93% of adults in New Zealand have used alcohol at some point. 45,000 New Zealanders accessed drug and alcohol helplines last year. The social cost to our country, 1.8 billion over the past year. The reason I tell you these numbers is not to scare you. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I'm just trying to paint a picture of what we're facing when it comes to drugs and alcohol here in New Zealand. When we think about drug and alcohol addiction, often it's really easy to cast a thought towards the person begging for money on Queen Street, or that teenage party that got out of hand, or the rugby club that had too much to drink when they were celebrating their win. Not often do we think about the businessman in the koru club just killing time having a few drinks, or the mother who's at home has nothing else to do, so dabbles in a red wine. What I'm addressing here is that breaking the pattern of drug and alcohol abuse in New Zealand doesn't just start with addicts. It starts with all of us. It starts with our attitudes towards drugs and alcohol. It starts with how we use alcohol, how we model this to our children, how we talk about it. You know, little comments like, man, I can't wait to relax and have a wine. It might seem pretty innocent to us, but we're teaching our kids that the only way we can relax is when we have a glass of wine. We've got to be conscious of the things that we say and how we act when it comes to these two topics. Last but not least, sometimes bad things happen, and I get it. I get the want to escape your reality if it's no good, but the reality is, even if you might feel a little bit better for an hour or 2 hours or a night, when you come down from your high or when you stop drinking, that thing that you're running away from still isn't sorted. Ultimately, all of these needs need to be met by God. Whether drugs and alcohol is something that you really struggle with, or maybe it's something you've only ever tried once or twice, I think it's really important to ask ourselves, why do we do this stuff? And for all of those needs, we actually need to make sure that we're finding it in God. This is true for all the topics that I've talked about this series, but in order to break the pattern in this country, we actually have to address the patterns that we may have already started in our own lives. Now, you may not be an alcoholic or you may not be struggling with drugs, but all of us have needs that we're trying to meet. Ask yourself, how am I meeting these? Because at the end of the day, the only place we can meet them fully and wholly is in God. Lastly, I want to finish with a prayer that is read all over the world in Alcoholic Anonymous groups. It's called the Prayer of Serenity, and I pray that this is the prayer that we would use and ask ourselves and examine our own lives in every day. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference.